Hello and welcome to another episode of the Get German Football News Transfer Roundup. Today we're going to again just go through a couple of completed deals over the last couple of days. We're going to look at a couple of transfer rumours that are developing as well over the past 24 hours or so. Like I say, please give us a like if you appreciate the video. We're certainly trying to improve as the weeks go on. So yeah, just to get us started then, we're going to go over a couple of the deals that have been completed like last time. Still around about 2 weeks to go in the transfer window in January. Plenty of deals that could go through, plenty that have already gone through. But in the last couple of days, we have seen most notably Jean-Claire Todibo. He has now completed the anticipated move to Schalke. He's gone there on an initial 6-month loan from Barcelona, the 20-year-old centre-back. We do believe, and it's been widely reported, that there is a purchase clause for the end of the season, whereby Schalke could buy the player for a fee believed to be in the region of 25 million euros, which would actually be a transfer record, I believe, for Schalke. So it'd be very interesting to see if they actually exercise that, because a lot of people kind of having skepticism as to whether they will. People saying, oh, Barca just put that in there because to kind of fend them off from any kind of purchase to buy deal. But certainly an interesting one, and you'd expect to see him get plenty of game time given how much they fought to get Todibo in. So yeah, finally that deal's gone through, and best of luck to the player and to the team. Another notable deal that's also been completed over the last 48 hours is Marin Pongrancic of RB Salzburg. He has now completed a move to Wolfsburg. A fee in the region of £9 million. That's sterling rather than euros this time. So again, another interesting move. A lot of Bundesliga teams were reportedly interested in the player, who is a centre-back by trade, has played a handful of times for Salzburg, this season. Hasn't really sort of pulled up too many trees, but it's an interesting move. It's one that we'll certainly keep an eye on, and it's one that could certainly strengthen Wolfsburg as well. So that is another one that's recently been completed. Right then, so to what you're all here for, and that's the rumours roundup. We're going to begin with some of the bigger players that have been either linked with moves to the Bundesliga or moves away from the Bundesliga. And two of the sort of most notable names that have been linked with big moves away from the Bundesliga over the last couple of days or so. Kai Havertz and Timo Werner, certainly the most notable. Many reports doing the rounds in the English media of Liverpool's interest in Kai Havertz. We know historically there's all kinds of rumours that he's visited Melwood, the team's training ground, a couple of years back. Jurgen Klopp is, of course, as many managers are, a keen admirer of Kai Havertz. So a rumour that's kind of seemingly originated from Mundo Deportivo, the Spanish outlet, of LFC's interest for potentially a summer move, possibly in the region of 100 million euros is what they claim would be a fee that could feasibly see Bayer Leverkusen part way with their prized asset. As we know, one of sort of the gems of German football, really, still a very, very young player. 17 goals in the Bundesliga last season. He really is one of the standouts of the league, and it would be a shame to see him go. But again, no kind of reports from the German media as of yet as to any concrete interest. It really is just from this one report that all of this has spread onto Twitter and onto social media. So one to keep an eye on. I'm fairly certain if Kai Havertz has another solid season in the Bundesliga, that there'll be plenty of big clubs around Europe trying to bring him in. But it would appear that is the only source as of now reporting in any Liverpool interests. Another big story catching headlines in England today is that of interest in Timo Werner. It seems, perpetual that there are teams trying to bring him in, particularly from the Premier League, which is what's believed to have led to this response from Timo Werner, because he gave an interview to Bild over the last couple of days where he's called the Premier League interesting and one of the more interesting leagues in Europe. So a fascinating one, because we've heard, of course, that, perhaps that Jurgen Klopp is an admirer. Certainly Chelsea have been linked with Timo Werner, the Bundesliga's top goal scorer for the last couple of weeks and months, as they have their transfer ban lifted. Plenty of rumours about them having a sort of spending spree over the course of this month. It'd be interesting to see if that actually comes to any fruition. But yeah, interesting comments from Timo Werner. He did go on to say that he's happy in Leipzig, that he's comfortable and everything else, but maybe not for the January window, but certainly for the summer window. It could be interesting to see if he will finally leave, if he will remain in Leipzig after signing that new contract. So yeah, one to keep an eye on as well. And finally, for the kind of big name developments from yesterday, Henrichs, the Monaco right back, he again has been another kind of name that's been perpetually in the headlines in terms of the German media, the German international, of course. But the latest development seemingly is that Bayern's and RB Leipzig's interest in the player has come to an end. It's been claimed by many outlets, including Kicker, that the player himself is intending, or is perhaps being kept in Monaco, AS Monaco, where he currently plays, that they can't afford to let him go in January and find an adequate replacement. He's a big player in their squad, actually. He played in both of the recent PSG games on Wednesday and on Saturday, so clearly a key player for their ambitions this season. So they don't look to be parting ways. I've had word from the RB Leipzig hierarchy that he won't be coming in either. So that looks to be the end of that saga for January at the very least. Now on to some of the newer developing stories. Story coming out of Kicker again today. They've been pretty busy in terms of stories. They are now claiming that Eintracht Frankfurt have an interest in Jakob Brun-Larsen, the Dortmund player who's found minutes hard to come by this season. He had a much more productive campaign last year. This season, seemingly not so much. He's scarcely played, really. So the attacker could well be on the move this month. That would appear to be some kind of loan deal until the end of the season. So whether Eintracht can get that over the line remains to be seen. Elsewhere, Kevin Volland, which we kind of suspected at Get German Football News, that he was going to be one of the stories of the window in terms of Bundesliga stars. An ongoing contract dispute with Bayer Leverkusen for the German international. It's not yet really known whether he's going to sign or not. But an interesting development that Sports Build are reporting on is he has had a change of advisor to a man named, and I'm going to try and get the name right here, Dirk Pietroszyński. Completely butchered that, apologies. But he is the agent, or the representative, I should say, of Kolasinac, also of Vestergaard, two Premier League players. And the inference really from Bild is that this will also mean the player himself potentially pushing for a Premier League move. He's the agent of two prominent Premier League stars. Has he got a kind of an agenda to push him towards the Premier League and push him outside of the Bundesliga? That remains to be seen. As of now, the word is from Sports Build that he really is attempting to find some sort of resolution, I should say, to the contract standoff. But they also claim that if that can't be reached, then potentially you're looking at a move in the summer if they can't reach a deal by the summer. So again, one to keep an eye on. I'm sure there'll be plenty of Premier League clubs with an interest in Volland if they cannot find a resolution. So yeah, that's the end of that one. And then a couple more rumours for you today, and a couple more stories emerging from the from the rest of the media, really. Those stories came out of Germany. But an interesting story coming out of ESPN Brazil, and it involves Rafinha, the former Bayern Munich fullback. He, of course, played in the World Club Cup against Liverpool a couple of weeks back. He impressed in that tournament, really. Clearly showed that he's got a lot left in him, particularly sort of fire and feistiness, because he had a couple of nibbles at Sadio Mane in their ongoing duel. But he recently came out with comments about Bayern Munich, saying that Bayern will always be in his heart, despite the fact that he loves being in Brazil. And ESPN Brazil are reporting that there is some kind of clause, some kind of release clause in the 34-year-old's contract that would essentially allow him to leave for a pittance or for free virtually, if a foreign club does come in, if a major foreign club does come in, that is. It's fueled speculation that maybe Bayern are going to try and bring him in. There is a bit of an injury crisis in Bayern in terms of defenders, so it would be a move that would seem to make sense, but whether or not they think he's past it at the age of 34 remains to be seen. But certainly interesting comments that, that the player always has Bayern in his heart. Again, interesting too that he can pretty much leave if a foreign club does come in. They claim also that the Flamengo, his club, are trying to tie him down now to a new deal that wouldn't have this contract. So yeah, one to keep an eye on as well. Also, just a little story about Salomon Kalou, a long-time Hertha Berlin player, Champions League winner with Chelsea prior to that, of course. He is believed to not really be in Jurgen Klinsmann's plans, of course, the new Hertha Berlin boss. Salomon Kalou getting on in age somewhat now, and it could well be that Fortuna Dusseldorf come in and make a bid for Kalou. They also need some attacking reinforcements in terms of their campaign so far. And he could well be pushed out of the door this month, pushed towards Fortuna, either on a loan or a permanent basis. But yeah, with Klinsmann clearly not keen on the player, the likelihood of that move happening seems like one of the more likely deals that could happen in terms of the Bundesliga this month. So that, again, one to watch, and probably one of the more likely deals to develop or certainly to happen in the closing weeks. And finally, the Bundesliga's kind of garnered a bit of a reputation of late of bringing in young talent from particularly the Premier League, developing them, and then seeing them either be sold or be linked with big money moves back to the Premier League at some point, or to other big European clubs. Of course, Jadon Sancho is one of them. Xavier Amaichi at Hamburg is hopeful to become the next one, as is Rabbi Matondo at Schalke. Or the next name on that list could well be Jayden Braaf, or Braaf. I said that the same then. Jayden Braaf of Manchester City. He's Dutch. He's a Dutch winger. And the rumour here comes from the Daily Mail. Their sources claim that RB Leipzig are interested in the player. Hardly a surprise they've taken on the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe, Ethan Ampadu, of course, Ademola Lookman, all young English players trying to get them regular first-team football. And again, they could be trying to do the same thing here. Leipzig trying to bring in Braaf. He's just signed for Man City, but he's impressed so far for the U team, particularly in the FA Youth Cup. Exciting young winger, dynamic, and has openly said in recent months that he wants first-team football. He wants more regular first-team football. He wants to be fast-tracked to the first team. No signs yet of that happening for Man City, with Pep Guardiola yet to integrate him into the first team. So it could well be that RB Leipzig yet again gamble on a young Premier League teenager who isn't making the grade at the minute, and they can potentially develop and then potentially sell for a lot more down the line. So that's the end of the roundup. Bit of a longer video today. So thank you for watching if you made it this far. If you did, like I say, like and subscribe if you want to, if you enjoyed the video. We'll be back over the coming days to kind of give you an update on what's happening around the Bundesliga. But for now, thank you for watching. I've been Tom Fenton for Get German Football News.